In today's video, what is the best form of cardio? Hey guys, this is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, I'm gonna explain to you exactly the best form of cardio that you should use. Now, typically when I'm doing cardio, I'm trying to go from looking like this to looking like this to get on a bodybuilding stage and compete. And why should you listen to me? Well, I've been doing this for over a decade now. As a coach, I've helped over 1,000 people get shredded and compete on bodybuilding stages, do photo shoots, or just use weight in a lifestyle manner. I've also done it myself multiple different ways, so I can tell you exactly the best form of cardio. So if you like this type of information around building the physique of your dreams, hit subscribe. It's what I love to do here. So for today's question, I got it off my Instagram direct message, which you can go here on my Instagram and send me a direct message. And when it comes to fat loss, the first thing you have to understand is that to lose body fat, you need to be creating a caloric deficit. Now, I use two methods to create a caloric deficit: tracking the diet and using cardio as a means to burn calories as well. I do not consider going in the gym and working out a way of getting leaner. That is time I consider spent building muscle. Do you burn calories? Yes, but I do not focus on the calorie burn during a workout. I focus on the point of the workout, which is to crush myself and build some muscle. So today's question, which I'll put on the screen here, he simply asked me, what is the best form of cardio? And while I'm doing a video on the topic, I have to say, it's actually not a great question. Now I'm gonna assume what he means by this is what is the best form of cardio to lose body fat. However, the best form of cardio would have to be specific to what your goals are. For example, a bodybuilder who goes in the gym and does resistance training 5 to 6 days a week and really pushes themselves will have different cardio requirements than someone who is going to compete in, say, the CrossFit Games or in an endurance type event. So, what is the best form of cardio? Well, the first question you have to ask is, what is your end goal? Now, for this video, I'm going to focus on the fat loss goal. I'm assuming if you're watching my channel and sending me questions to my direct message, you kind of understand that I spend the bulk of my time trying to put on as much muscle as I can so that when I diet down, I have the least amount of body fat and the most muscle possible. This is bodybuilding. So what is the best form of cardio? Easy. For me, incline walking. First, you have to understand that 10 years ago, when I first got involved in bodybuilding competitions, all the rage was on high intensity cardio, and for good reason. The science behind it says that you burn more calories during a HIIT cardio session than you do in a steady state cardio session. But that's a very short-sighted view, because that's only, let's say, 30 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour of your day that you're spend doing the cardio. The real problem with high intensity cardio that I found is not the cardio session itself, although that can be problematic because it can lead to injuries. That's right. If you're doing high intensity cardio correctly, you're going all out. If you're going all out, the probability of injury, and I've strained my hamstrings and knees and ankles enough times to know that the probability for injury goes up, meaning you might not be able to work out or perform. The other real benefit that was proposed for high intensity interval training or HIIT cardio was that the excess post-exercise oxygen consumption would increase, meaning that long after you stopped doing your cardio session, your body was still trying to catch up on its oxygen deficit, thus burning extra calories. But what this doesn't account for is the fact that if done properly, HIIT cardio destroys you. That's right. I've done as many as 3 HIIT cardio sessions a week in contest prep. And the real problem I found with those sessions was not only was I destroyed after them, but I didn't really want to do anything else the rest of the day. I also found out that my hunger was through the roof, my stress and cortisol levels were a lot higher post-session, and in the long term, while yes, it worked, it required a lot more willpower than my current favorite form of cardio. So now we fast forward to a few years later. I'm sitting in class at the University of South Florida studying exercise physiology when we come to the topic of fuel sources used during cardio. I thought for sure this was going to give me the insight that I was after, and that it would lead to me doing more HIIT cardio. Well, when we began discussing what fuel sources used during cardio, it turns out that lower intensity cardio preferentially burns body fat. Now, none of this really matters unless you're actually paying attention to your diet. But during a low intensity steady state cardio session, the body's primary fuel source is going to be body fat. That's right. And during something like a sprint, that is gonna be more carbohydrate, glucose, glycogen based. So you see my point here. If you wanna burn body fat and keep stress low, well, that's what I do. So the next question you have to ask is, why would, let's say, incline walking or a low intensity form of steady state cardio be superior to others? And I'm gonna give you my reasons. One, it's very easy to perform. In fact, you can literally do it at any time, anywhere. And it can actually reduce your stress. That's right. By getting outside in these times when we're all stuck at home and taking a couple walks throughout the course of the day, you can actually improve your mental well-being. And so that's really what we should focus on. And that's why in the title of the thumbnail, I put screw science, because science would tell us that high intensity cardio, sprints, these things are far superior to low intensity steady state for fat loss, and for good reason. Because the science shows that if you only have a limited amount of time, well, you're gonna probably burn more calories in a HIIT session than you would in a walking session or a jogging session or a bike session. But here's the thing. We don't simply stop burning calories when the cardio session is over. So if you have more energy throughout the rest of the day and you end up burning more calories because you didn't do high intensity cardio, well, what's the real winner there? Exactly. So the question is always going to come down to what is best for you. What do you have access to? What do you enjoy? Do not do cardio that requires a high amount of willpower. I can tell you now, when I used to do those HIIT sessions, I was in contest prep, I had to gear myself up all day knowing that I was gonna be running sprints or doing something very difficult like bike sprints or spin sprints, okay? Whereas now, I simply plan a walk, I can do phone calls, I can watch a show. It requires zero willpower, and I get more shredded now with less pushback from my body than I ever did. The real problem here is the length of time that it requires. So how do we circumvent that? Well, when you're doing something like a cardio session, let's say walking flat, if you simply bump up the incline and the speed, you can burn as much as twice as many calories walking than just walking flat. So there are still ways to increase the intensity, but at the end of this entire video, what you still need to know is the best way to lose fat is to have your diet in check. Cardio is wonderful. It's a great tool. I enjoy it. It has cardiovascular benefits. But if you're not paying attention to how many calories you're taking in, it's going to be all for nothing. So I have a calorie calculator free. I'll put a link below it on my website. I also have a free beginner's guide that includes everything from a diet, training, a cardio plan for you to get started on your fat loss goals. We'll also be doing our transformation challenge again this fall. We're about halfway through our current one. And that's going to be it for today, guys. The best form of cardio for you is dependent on what your goals are. But I would try them all out. After a decade or more, for me, walking incline has been the winner.